They say a wedding is a place where love wins. But that day, before the vows were even spoken, the guests formed a circle of whispers, judgment, and cruel laughter. All of it directed at one girl who was just trying to celebrate, just trying to feel beautiful for once. No one expected the moment when a single dad, quiet, ordinary-looking, almost invisible in the crowd, would step forward and change everything. What he said and what he did would leave the entire room silent, and would transform not only her life, but his as well. This is the story you won't forget once you begin, so listen carefully. Amelia Weston had spent the entire morning staring at herself in the hotel mirror, tugging at the pale lavender dress her cousin insisted she wear. "You'll look lovely," her cousin Mia had said, squeezing her arm with the kind of forced optimism that almost stings more than honesty. Amelia didn't believe her, not really. But Mia was the bride, and Amelia didn't want to cause problems on her wedding day. Her weight had always been the first thing people noticed about her, even before her smile or her hazel eyes that turned gold when the light hit them. At family events, people didn't say hello before saying, "Have you tried this new diet?" Or "You'd be so pretty if." Amelia heard those things so often she could finish the sentences for them. Still, she came. Because despite all the fear curling inside her stomach, she loved Mia. And Mia loved her. That had to be enough. The wedding venue was stunning. White roses, crystal chandeliers, and rows of silk-draped chairs. Amelia walked in alone, clutching her purse so tightly her knuckles whitened. She could hear them before she even saw faces. The small laughter. The whispers sliding between breaths. A group of young women dressed in pastels leaned toward each other and smirked openly. Is she really wearing that? It looks like the dress is begging for mercy, poor thing. Why does she even try? Amelia's throat tightened. She kept her eyes fixed ahead, praying she could just get to her seat without melting into tears. She almost made it. A man stood abruptly from his chair, trying to pass behind her. Someone bumped someone else, a drink sloshed, and cold champagne splattered across Amelia's dress. The sound of gasps filled the air, but then laughter followed, sharp and slicing. "Oh no," someone giggled. "Now it's clinging to her. Yikes." Amelia dropped her gaze, but her body stood frozen. She felt herself shrinking, folding inward, wishing she could disappear beneath the carpet. She didn't dare look at anyone. Her chest hurt, really hurt, like a weight pressing down. She muttered, it's fine," even though nothing was fine. She tried to dab the stain away, but more chuckles swelled behind her. Tears bit at the corners of her eyes, and still she kept her head down. That's when a small voice, gentle, oddly steady, cut through the noise. "Miss, are you okay?" Amelia looked up into the most unexpected sight. A man in a charcoal gray suit with soft eyes and a little girl clutching his hand. He wasn't laughing, he wasn't starring. He was simply looking at her with worry, as though she mattered. I'm sorry," Amelia whispered. "I didn't mean to be in the way." "You weren't," the man said firmly. "They were." He stepped between her and the crowd, blocking their view completely. For the first time that day, Amelia exhaled. That man, she didn't know his name yet, was the single dad who would change her life. But she didn't know that. Not yet. His name was Ethan Hale. He was a quiet kind of handsome, with gentle features and shoulders that held the posture of someone who'd carried more than his share of weight in life. The little girl by his side, Lily, couldn't have been older than 6. She had curly dark hair tied with a pink ribbon and eyes that shone with both curiosity and fierce protectiveness. Lily tugged her father's hand and stepped toward Amelia. "You're pretty," she said simply, as if announcing a fact. Amelia blinked, startled. No one in that room would have dared say that. Not to her, not sincerely. Ethan gave a warm smile. "She's honest, brutally honest. You should hear her review my cooking." A soft laugh escaped Amelia despite the knot twisting her stomach. Her breath trembled a bit, but it felt good to laugh. "I'm Amelia," she whispered. "I'm Ethan," he replied. "And this is Lily, the future food critic." Lily grinned. "I'd give that joke we just heard a 0 out of 10. She jerked her thumb toward the group who had been whispering. Ethan gently pulled Amelia aside to a quieter space near the floral arch. "Do you want to step outside for a moment? You look like you could use some air." For a second, she almost said no. She didn't want to be a burden, didn't want to risk more eyes turning her way. But something about his tone, steady, soft, grounding, gave her courage she hadn't felt in years. Yes, she managed. Please. Outside, the evening breeze washed over her. Amelia took a shaky breath, staring at the distant hills. She felt the weight of embarrassment, the sting of humiliation. She also felt Ethan's presence, just close enough to be comforting, far enough to be respectful. I shouldn't have come, Amelia choked out. People always look at me like that. I should have known. Ethan shook his head. People look at me too, he said softly. Not for the same reason, but still they judge. They see a single dad and assume I failed somewhere. They think my life is messy or broken. He paused. But I'm not broken, and neither are you. Amelia's breath hitched. No one had ever said something like that to her, not without pity or forced cheerfulness. Ethan wasn't trying to fix her. He was simply acknowledging her pain. And my mom says, Lily added, climbing onto a nearby bench, that broken crayons still color. I think that means people can still be awesome even if someone was rude to them, smiled weakly. Your daughter is wise, Ethan chuckled. She's also overly confident, but she's right. They sat in silence for a moment. It wasn't awkward, it was peaceful, the kind of quiet that made Amelia feel safe in her skin, even with the stain on her dress, even with her heart still bruised. Can I ask something? Ethan said gently. Yeah. Why do you let them make you feel small? Amelia froze. No one had ever asked that, not directly. She swallowed hard. Because I've been told I should be smaller my entire life, she whispered. And after a while you start to believe it, shook his head. Then they win, and they're not worth winning. Something in the way he said it made her chest tighten, not with hurt but with a strange warmth spreading slowly, cautiously. Just then the wedding coordinator rushed over, flustered. They're calling guests to take their seats again. Are you three coming inside? Amelia hesitated. Her instinct was to retreat, hide, disappear. But Ethan offered his arm, not out of pity, but as if it were the most natural thing in the world. You don't have to walk back alone, he said. Lily chimed in. And if anyone laughs, I'll throw a bread roll at them. Amelia laughed through her tears. Something inside her, something that had been crushed moments ago, began to rise again. Slowly she took Ethan's arm, and together they walked inside. The room fell silent. Not a cruel silence, but a shocked one, because when Amelia walked back in with her head lifted, and a man at her side who looked at her like she mattered, everyone suddenly realized this wasn't the girl they had mocked minutes before. She was someone worth noticing, someone worth respecting, someone worth something. And the single dad, he wasn't done changing her life, not even close.